This is a moment that calls for statesmen. This is a moment that calls for true leadership. This is a moment that calls for real action to address real security concerns. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the show, Podcast Unfiltered. I remain your host, Bodunrin Adebo. It is the end of yet another week, and what a week it has been for Nigeria from the different security challenges the country faces. No doubt, Nigeria is going through a crisis moment, but perhaps we're also seeing glimpses of actions on the part of the government that seems to give hope to the people, I dare say. So what do we know right now? So far, on a positive note, 38 of the 38 worshippers from the Christ Apostolic Church in Eruku, Kwara State were released by their abductors during the week. On another good note, 24 of the government secondary school students in Kebbi, Maga Kebbi, that is, were also released, in the words of the government and security agents, that they were released by their captors and reunited with their families. Also, 50 of the students of the Catholic Mission School in Papiri in Niger State who escaped their abductors, they have also been reunited with their families. However, more than 200 students are yet to be accounted for. Students as well as teachers from the Papiri school are yet to be accounted for. And we do not know at the moment what the government is doing to secure the release of these young ones. Beyond that, also, there are some other positive things that has happened during the week on the security front. We understand the delegation that visited the United States have returned back to Nigeria, and they have briefed the president on the outcome of their visit. And still on that point, the government has announced a committee of persons that will work in coordination with the U.S. With their U.S. counterparts to address some of the issues bedeviling the country from the security point of view. Beyond that, also, the government during the week announced 3 ambassadorial nominees. These 3 ambassadorial nominees will be posted to countries including the United States, Britain, as well as France. We're still expecting the government to release more ambassadorial nominees for National Assembly consideration. Also, during the week, the president announced a raft of decisions regarding that has to do with security context in Nigeria. First, the government has declared a national security emergency, and I think this has been a very welcome development by many in Nigeria. Also, the president issued a directive that all police who are on VIP, who have been attached to VIPs in the country should be withdrawn and included in the police effort to respond to issues of insecurity. The Inspector General of Police did brief yesterday, that so far more than 11,000 of police personnel have been withdrawn. It's believed that the number should be much more than that. Previously, the number that has been in circulation is that we have more than 50,000 police personnel attached to private security individuals as well as government officials providing escort duties. Beyond that, also, the president mandated the Department of State Security to deploy those who were undergoing training as forest guards and deploy them immediately. These are all good. However, I will not fail but talk about a pattern that we can no longer ignore in terms of the security, the insecurity situation in Nigeria. And what is that? Now, it's now very predictable that we see young school children be kidnapped from their schools, especially in boarding schools. And then we hear massive cry out of parents and citizens. Security agencies, of course, do make vague statements, as well as government officials. And then later, we hear government officials, announce successful rescue or release with no video evidence, no operational footage, no independent confirmation of military action taken. Take a listen to this media appearance by the senior special advisor to the president, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, on the release of the Eruku abductees after they've spent almost a week in the hands of their abductors. It's very
how the 38 worshippers at that church in Eruku, Kwara State were rescued.
Well, I think after the incident happened and the DSS and the military were involved in the rescue efforts. I think they got in contact with the bandits to release those people unarmed. And I think finally on Sunday, they were able to get them out unarmed.
So they basically know who they are.
Well,
and, because when you say rescue them,
yeah,
did they actually
the security
physically go there and get them out?
The security people, at the risk of revealing how they do their work, they do have a way of tracking these people.
Right.
So they know what's going on at any point in time. What sometimes restrains them from going after them is the risk of collateral damage.
Of course.
They go about abducting our people and they use them as shield so that they will not be attacked. So they don't just want to be attacking them, they need to be sure that they are not using our people as a kind of a shield.
But if the government did not attack them in order to rescue these people, how did they get them released? Because, I mean, it seems almost...
They got in contact with them?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is that it seems almost perverse for the people to abduct people and then a few days later release them.
They have a way of contacting them.
You mean they paid them money?
Not paying them. They know the risk. If they keep those people with them and they're saying release them, they know that the next thing will be for the government to embark on a kinetic action and attack their base.
Yeah, but they killed people.
But that's risky.
That makes
if
them
you attack their
criminal.
base, you can kill those
No, I
victims.
understand that.
Yeah.
But
that explanation by Mr. Bayo Ononuga leaves a lot of questions in its trail. It is very, very worrying, going by the statement of the government official, that indeed government agents made contacts with these jihadists. Again, I don't want to call these ones bandits, because the word bandit is very strange, to the security nomenclature in Nigeria. Up until, maybe in the last 8 years or thereabout, you read about bandits in news, in books, or you watch about them, in films. But bandits or banditry was not something we were familiar with. Yeah, Boko Haram, terrorism, and so on. But now, they are called bandits, but their modus operandi, I argue very, very, these are more or less jihadists, and they are criminals who just go about, kidnapping, because they've made that into an industry. And if a senior government official as high up as Mr. Bayo Ononuga, who works directly with the president, is telling us that, security agents know these people, then it should worry us. And not only should it worry us, it should anger us as well. And it should also force us to ask, who is telling the truth here? When the government tells us that, when these people were kidnapped, security agents, got across to those who kidnapped them, and then they were released. That word released has left so much questions for us to answer. who are these people? And if the government knows who they are, why is it that the government will always wait for these ones, for them to attack innocent people, poor people, and then make outrageous demands of, release sums, ransom sums going into hundreds of millions of naira? Now it's shrouded in secret whether some ransom was paid or not. Why should the government be negotiating with criminal elements like they have a just cause? The other question that Nigerians are asking is this: where is the proof, according to government, government, that, oh, no ransom was paid, where they were told to release these people, and then they released them? The same thing repeated itself with the 24 girls released from government, the 24 government girls secondary school students in Kebbi State. Government also claimed that no ransom was paid, and then they were released. The first thing is that Nigerians are not asking government, to be miracle workers. What the citizens are asking of their government is that they need to be accountable and transparent. If military operations were conducted, it's important to really build confidence in the people. The government should show the images. We all saw the images of when the United States went after Al-Qaeda. They even made a movie out of it. How did our military personnel go about this release, since they are not calling it rescue operation? How did they go about it? How can I be confident that me, as a citizen of Nigeria, I have my back covered by the government in situations when security support is needed? Where are the testimonies also from the children that were rescued? And of course, why are we not seeing the getting briefings from the field commanders? So where is the evidence that really a rescue operation did take place? Now, I don't want to dwell so much on, the negatives, because the first thing is that we are happy these young children have been released, and we are praying fervently that others who are still in captivity will be released. And beyond that, that there should be, a stop to this brigandage, this criminal activity, this, call it terrorism, call it, jihadism, whatever it is. It needs to come to an end in Nigeria. And what I would like to offer, episode is really, how can the government, build confidence in the people, So that's what I really want to really focus on. How can government really build trust in the people? I think I've said it over and over in the course of this episode, that government needs to show accountability and be transparent in its dealings when security issues are concerned. That's the first thing. Government needs to show that it is accountable to the people and be transparent how it's going about this. If you know about the whereabouts of these criminal elements, why do you have to wait until they cause evil before you attack, before you go after them? That's the number one thing. And number two, still under being transparent and accountable, is that be truthful to the people. Whatever it is you do, show evidence that this is what we have done. Questions remain, and Nigerians believe, with the cloud of secrecy and lack of transparency that has, colored all efforts so far, that government is highly complicit in what is going on. Number two is that, yes, it is very commendable, some of the actions announced by the government, by the president recently. But yeah, the president has announced that 30,000 people more, men and women should be recruited into the police force. The given number, I think over 10,000 also should be recruited into the Nigerian army and other military formations. Beautiful. But we should know that simply expanding the number of foot soldiers, and food, it's not just enough to really address the very systemic issue that our security architecture is facing. So expanding number is not a guarantee for capacity. The government needs to, carry on the issue of training in modern security processes and systems for these people who are being recruited. You are not just going to recruit them and teach them in just brute force, thinking that is the only way that we will resolve this issue. We know the security issues Nigeria faces, requires both, modern security engagement, civil-military relations that, to be honest, is lacking in our military establishment. The third thing is that security agencies should be proactive. I cannot, for the life of me, believe that our security agents, establishments know these people, they can track them, and yet they will not do what is necessary. You don't have to wait for your house, to burn before you go get a fire extinguisher. You get a fire extinguisher for your house because you know that there could be fire, and you don't even pray that you have to use that fire extinguisher. You do everything possible to keep safety of your house by making sure you turn off the gas, you keep all manner of inflammable things that can cause damage, to your property away from igniting. So why should governments, knowing where the idols of these criminals are, wait until they commit evil before government moves? Now, there is also the need to push for local security architecture. Is, good to hear the president saying, the National Assembly should expedite action on state policing. It is highly necessary, and it is indeed long overdue. Hopefully, we will see some urgent movement along those steps. Now, what are the other things? I would also recommend that there should be the involvement of local media and civil society, as well as traditional institutions, in recalibrating Nigeria's security architecture. I think that is very important. It's very gratifying to see traditional rulers in the southwest of the country meeting recently, to see how they can complement the efforts of security agencies. We've also seen governors of the southwest who met recently to see how they can work together, to strengthen security within that region. But we should remember that we are only as strong as the weakest link. If the Southwest is coordinated and you don't see the same level of coordination, cooperation, and collaboration with other governors and, in other regions of the country, I think we'll just be joking. Okay? So there is the need to have a whole systems approach. I made a video previously where I talked about a whole of government and a whole of community approach. I watched a show on TV recently where the discussion was about the place of satellite, imaging in fighting or combating insecurity and terrorism in Nigeria. And it's very, very revealing, very, very embarrassing that right now, for a country of the size of Nigeria, whether in terms of people or its landmass, Nigeria has just 4 satellite images, and it takes like maybe 2-3 days for one satellite to go around and come back, to Nigeria. I think we're a joke. And really, accountability comes up again. People need to answer questions. What has been going on with all the money voted for security in this country for, let's just put it, for about 2 decades now? It's laughable. Nigeria has just 4, satellites, and most of those satellites, the images you get are not even the kind of image that can lead to any kind of actionable security intelligence. It's a shame on us as a country. And also, it's important that government should initiate socio-economic reforms at local, government levels. The federal government is carrying too much. The federal government is doing too much. We have destroyed the local government system in Nigeria. And it's about time that we face facts that local government needs to be restructured and empowered Yes, the Supreme Court ruled recently that their funding should go to them directly. For me, I think that is just one bit of it. Yes, we know why the money wasn't going to them initially, because of corruption. What systems and checks have we put in place to ensure that if the Supreme Court's ruling is carried out to the letter, that the local government chairmen and councillors don't just sit down and share the money, as we say, in Nigeria. It's very, very important because it is at that level that the most impact can be made in the lives of people. The federal government cannot do everything. We have to empower the local government system and administration in Nigeria to be effective and carry out its function. Also, it's important that Nigeria should strengthen regional security. We see what is happening now, even in Guinea-Bissau, that as at today, we have a military government back in place in Guinea-Bissau. And you look at this, it's like the snooze is being tightened around Nigeria. Guinea-Bissau, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso, Guinea-Conakry. It's like this is moving closer and closer to Nigeria. Recently, there were rumors of a failed coup in Nigeria that was planned to happen on the 1st of October. The government has kept a sealed lips and remained very vague in its response to people's question whether there was a coup or there was not. But from what we are seeing, the contagion effect is really spreading, and Nigeria better sit up. We are not immune from this. The last thing that I will say also is that government should take advantage of the new engagement it has opened with the United States government. It's good to see that the president has announced members of the Nigerian committee members of this Joint Security Committee that is going to be established with the United States. They should take this serious. There should be a plan. There should be a strategy for this engagement. Now, most importantly, Nigerians demand to have a timeline from the government. Everyone is saying, oh, let's give President Tinubu, the support for him to succeed. We want him to succeed because the success of his administration is the success of Nigeria. But it is high time that we are not just beating around the bush. Mr. President, I would like you to work with your security officials. Let us have short-term goals. Let us have medium-term goals. Let us have long-term goals. This, in the midst of this adversity, something good can come for Nigeria. For a long time, we have treated ourselves as a joke. We have treated this peace and security of Nigeria, as a joke. We are paying a heavy price for it. Unfortunately, the poor and the innocent are the worst affected by what is happening. Let us see a concrete plan of action. The National Assembly also, it's time for the National Assembly to wake up. Stop this idea of organizing regional security summit. It's nothing but a jamboree. It's something to provide money for the boys and your supporters. No, sit down in the parliament. See, you saw what your counterparts did in the U.S. House just last week, organizing a very, thought-provoking hearing on the issue of insecurity in Nigeria. What stops the Senate as well as the House of Representatives in Nigeria to call people into the parliament? That is the house that belongs to the people. Get the officials who have been charged to working on these issues, from the DSS to the army to the police to the NCA, the Nigeria Security Defense Force, the Navy, and so on. Get them to come before the parliament, open the doors of the parliament to the people, and let us have a conversation, and let's stop this jamboree of having South-South regional security summit, Southwest, Northwest. It's all rubbish. What you need to do it right there where you have been given the mandate by the people, by the various constituents, for you to represent their interests. Nigeria is bleeding, and we have to stop this bleeding very, very fast. This is a moment that calls for statesmen. This is a moment that calls for true leadership. This is a moment that calls for real action to address real security concerns. Let's remember, we have no other country that we can call our own but Nigeria. You can have citizenship of another country, but you are never fully a part of that society, because you know what? You will always be reminded one way or the other that you don't belong here. You belong to your own country. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining me on this episode. And if this is your first time coming across this channel, thank you for tuning in. Please like and subscribe to this channel, as you know, so that you can be notified as we upload new episodes. Until the next episode, I wish every one of us peace, and I wish the very best for Nigeria. Peace out.